Everyone, welcome back to Pine Hollow Auto Diagnostics. Saturday morning in the man cave. We got a whole party going on. And we got the 97 Maxima back we're finally going to replace some parts today. Let's see the whiteboard. What's our summary so far? Check engine light on. Rough idle. Replace the Egr valve. That should fix that problem. Overheating. We're going to throw a thermostat at it. Take it for a spin. Hopefully that problem will be solved. The long crank time, it's not really a drivability problem, it's more of an annoyance. When starting, two variables here. I still want to do a little more diagnostics on the fuel pressure side and narrow that down. So you got some parts in stock. A new Egr valve from Wells Vehicle Electronics. And this thing, pleasantly surprised, it's actually made in Japan. It might be the OEM manufacturer. Brand spanking new and shiny. The diaphragm moves really easily. A little pintle in there, up and down. You can bench test it. Just kind of blow on the intake port, and when the diaphragm is down, you should have absolutely no flow through the valve from here to here. So try that. Well, it's coming out of the reference port. You can plug that off. No flow, lift the diaphragm. Perfect. The old valve will take off and see how carboned up it is. Maybe clean it out. See if we can keep it as a spare, right, Rick?
Right.
Keep it in the trunk for the next replacement. Next part is a thermostat. Again, got this at Napa, made in Tokyo, Japan. Amazing. Gasket. And this thermostat is kind of funky. It's part of the housing. So there's the plunger. There, it's sealed up right now. It's closed. So when it heats up, opens up and lets the cool water from the radiator get into the engine block, cool the engine. That guy conveniently lives right here where the hose comes in. So that should be a piece of cake to take off. We'll put some fresh coolant in. So we won't videotape the nuts and bolts here, but get the parts installed and take it for a spin with the scanner. Alright, so we got the old Egr valve off. Actually came off very easily, about 10 minutes. And already we see the problem. Let's compare old to new. What do we notice? So if you look inside the port, you see that versus this. Huge difference. And the diaphragm on this one, it's all the way up right now. And there's the leak. It's a little black in there. But you can see the seat for the pintle, it's threaded in. And this thing migrated up so far that it forced the pintle all the way up. And you can actually see a passage where the leak was happening. So the pintle's closed. However, there's still flow through this valve because the seat for the pintle migrated so far up. We can prove that just by blowing through it. Sure enough, flow when there isn't supposed to be any. Now, why did that happen? This seat has to be fixed in there somehow. It shouldn't just kind of work itself up like this. What's the difference? These parts look almost identical. Made in Japan. Come over here, not made in Japan, and you see this part number. It almost looks like a Dorman aftermarket garbage unit, 570022. You can look that up. Junk. Hopefully this thing will last a little while longer than 6 months, right, Rick? Is that how long this one lasted?
6 years.
So they replaced this, what, at the dealership?
Yes.
So they put in a Dorman valve at a Nissan dealership.
Yes.
See, that blows my mind because they should use dealer parts. And your check engine light came on how long after that repair?
Shortly after, 6 months.
6 months. So it took 6 months for that seat to migrate up and cause your issue. Perfect. So let's pop this guy on, put everything back together, do the thermostat, and we're already replacing the right parts. Alright, so after a little wrestling, we got the old thermostat out. Gasket is pretty stuck. This might be the original unit from 1997. It's a little bit heavier than the new one. Amazing. So, nice piece We can't really say if it's bad or not here, but we can put in some boiling water, see if that plunger opens up all the way. But if this is the original unit, I would not be surprised that, you know, finally the wax pellet in there just got old and it's not opening it up enough to let the coolant through, cool the engine down. So pop the new one on, fill it up with coolant, take it for a spin. Alright, a new thermostat is in. Owner's anxiously waiting for the results. Refilled it with coolant. Not much coolant came out. I'm actually surprised. Usually you get like a gallon. This is maybe half a quart, but we'll, hopefully the system will bleed itself out. We put in how much came out. So squeeze the hose. All the bubbles are out for now, but once we rev it up, hopefully the system will purge itself. Got the scanner hooked up in the OEM Nissan mode. Here's our trouble code. Let's clear that out for a fresh start. Clear the codes. Performing routine. Success. Codes only. And system okay, no codes present. Alright, hopefully it stays that way. I think it will because the Egr valve is fixed. So now we want to look at data. We look at that Egr temperature, make sure it's not leaking, and obviously the engine temp. Make sure it warms up and thermostat opens when it needs to. Let's load up our data list. I don't remember where the Egr temperature data PID was. Takes a little while to load. Let me customize my list and we'll be right back. Alrighty, here's our custom data list. Egr temp, it's 4.1. It's cold. That's cold. When it heats up, remember the voltage drops. And then engine coolant temp is at 91. Let's fire the beast up. Is it going to be a long crank time? A little bit. Alright, here we go. It's amazing the hood stays up on its own, right, Rick? Alright, you can close the garage. Alright, we'll let it warm up. ECT is climbing. We'll turn on our heat. Played a waiting game. I like that the Egr right now is cold and it idles beautifully. It's idling smooth as butter, Rick. Alright, no more unnecessary Egr flow. Uh-oh. Well, the bubbles are getting purged out of the system. That's good. It'll rev it up a little bit. Let it run for a bit and stabilize. Alright, it's warming up nicely. We're getting some heat on the dash. It's at 140. I revved it up a little bit. Egr is responsive, it's opening. Look at that temperature, drops right away. And then you let off the gas, Egr valve closes, right back up. Perfect. We're gonna wait until it gets to 180 and see if it just, boom, stabilizes there. Well, I think we can call the thermostat overheating problem a fix. It's hovering right around 190 degrees Fahrenheit. Perfect. Look at that flat line. It's been doing that for about 10 minutes. So we're gonna top off the coolant, put on the radiator cap, take this baby for a spin up the mountain. So we're cruising, didn't climb the mountain yet. Beautiful, right at 190, plus or minus like 3 degrees. Exactly where it should be. So that's a fix, confirmed. Idle's beautiful, awesome power. Egr temp, when it's open, it's down to almost 0, right? So about 0.1. So we got Egr flow right now, we're cruising. When you let off the gas, the sucker should start climbing fairly quickly. Everything's hot, but 0.2, 0.3. So it's cooling off. That pipe's cooling off. So once we get up the mountain, we'll see if it'll even break 200 degrees. It shouldn't break a sweat. All right, so we blasted up the 1,000-foot climb. Beautiful. Temperature's rock steady at 195. Right now it's at 199. So is that a problem? No, absolutely not. So as the car heats up, the radiator heats up. If there's no airflow, like we're sitting in a parking lot right now, everything's hot. How does the radiator cool itself? Well, eventually, when that ECT reaches a certain threshold, depending when the computer is programmed to that set point, it'll kick on the cooling fans, cool the radiator down. Now you got cool coolant coming back into the engine, and the temperature shouldn't go much above 200 usually. Some cars, that set point for the computer is set at like 230. So you'll think, like on my Mystique, that needle keeps climbing in the summer. It'll keep climbing. Like, uh-oh, we got trouble. Cooling fans kick on, right back down. So it's just a programming thing. But right now, we can jump outside and see if the fan's kicked on. But it doesn't look like it's climbing much above 199. Here we go. So cooling fans just kicked on low speed. You can feel the temperature of the radiator hose here. It's warm. So the whole radiator heated up. We got good flow. And what's the temperature doing? Yep, see right there. Cooling fans kicked on low speed. It's gonna come right back down to 190 or so. Perfectly normal. Once it comes down to 190, the fan should kick off. And you're in business. Awesome. I love to verify a repair. Yep, so
Happy.
some parts required, but just basic maintenance items. Egr valve, thermostat. Love it. So we're back to the shop, and I think this car will be highway worthy again. It's done a lot of highway miles, right, Rick?
Yes.
In Texas,
Yeah.
to Ohio, New York, take it everywhere. So now it'll at least be reliable and running real smooth. So the Maxima's been sitting here for a few minutes, like 5 minutes. Perfect opportunity to test for the long crank time. The question is, did any of our repairs have any effect on the starting? Like the Egr valve being shut when it's supposed to. So Rick, we're gonna place bets here. Is it gonna be a long crank time right now?
I think it's gonna be short.
It's gonna be short crank time. I think it's fixed. What about you, Josh?
I'll vote short.
You vote short. I'm not gonna vote because I'm gonna be wrong. All right, here we go. Key on. What the heck? No way!
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, I'm impressed. This car is basically fixed. Just a couple oil leaks left.
Right. Amazing.
Makes my day.
Amazing.
No fuel pressure regulator needed, no fuel pump.
Amazing.
So sometimes you have to fix what you know is broken, eliminate those symptoms, right? And then if there's still a problem, do the follow-up diagnosis. So when we tried diagnosing 4 things at once, and we're like, well, these 2 we're sure about. The other one, let's leave for later. So that was the right decision.
Right.
Didn't buy those parts. Didn't need them. All right, that's it. Amazing. The Nissan runs like new, right, Rick?
Right.
Starts, runs, stops, everything you should do. So on our list here, I think we're doing pretty well. No more check engine light. Idles smooth as butter. Egr valve was definitely stuck open. Overheating, replace the thermostat, rock steady. Fixed. Long crank time. As far as we can tell, we started like 5 times already. Starts beautiful. Not a hiccup. So that could have been related to our stuck open Egr valve. Absolutely. If there's, you crank it, and instead of oxygen, you get kind of exhaust gases getting sucked in right away. You won't like it. And you open up the throttle, you get more air in, and it fires up. So, no parts required on the long crank time. Fixed. Awesome, makes my day. So that'll wrap it up for the Nissan Maxima tune-up case study diagnostics, and we'll see you next time.